Hi all, I'm teacher Yang from 591 Lab. Today a student asked me how to pass the CCIE certification and get the CCIE certificate in one shot. That's correct. In reality, all individuals entering the process of preparing for CCIE must go through a systematic learning phase, right? From beginner CCNA to intermediate CCNP and then to advanced CCIE. After completing all these courses, the final step is to enter the CCIE lab for preparation. Is that correct? In the last part, it indicates that you have already mastered all the relevant theories, knowledge points, and technical aspects in the courses of NA and NP. Then the final step is to enter the CCIE preparation. In terms of preparation, for example, in the 591 lab, they will definitely provide you with versions, requirements, solution documents, solution videos, and so on. These are definitely available. In addition, in order to pass the CCIE certification at one go, I think one important point is, for example, in the 591 lab. First, we can guarantee all of them. For students preparing for the CCIE lab, as long as they start preparing daily, they need to spend at least 4 hours of rack time each day. You can log into a rack in our lab and then go to knock on the rack or knock on the version, right? This is guaranteed daily. If I have enough time, I can have 8 hours daily, and it can be adjusted based on the actual situation. Ensure enough rack practice volume, enough experimental volume. On a rack in 591 experiment, the environment we set up is a replica of the real environment, including interfaces, IP addresses are the same. Entire interfaces and topology and pre-configs with real lab exams are exactly the same. In other words, what we call lab dump versions. If we're in the lab hall, we may have practiced lab solutions dozens of times, 50, 80 times, very familiar. Then during the exam, just shadow practice on the desk in the exam room. That's all. This lab needs to be proficient enough. So for the second point actually, when we are preparing for a CCIE in the 591 lab, we require every student to not just practice the lab for the sake of practicing, but to discover problems through each lab practice. After finishing configuring your lab today, after finishing configuring this version, if there are any problems or sections, you might think I can see these phenomena, but it doesn't necessarily mean there are no problems. Some features, whether activated or not, may not impact the overall phenomena. But if during the exam, so it may cause you to lose points, right? You may have executed this requirement in the CLI, typed many lines, and may have forgotten to enable a feature leading to no points. We need every student who completes the lab to compare it with our standard guide configuration. In the 591 lab, I can give you a tour. We also have 3 dedicated servers. We own 3 servers. So after each of us finishes practicing on the lab racks, what will you do with your lab configs? Acquire its configuration data. Upon completion of this lab, kindly capture your configuration. For instance, I am able to open a topology diagram of our CCIE for all participants, so please be patient for a moment. Alright, I will proceed to open a topology that is accessible and viewable by all participants, ensuring that everyone can easily access and navigate the system without any restrictions or limitations. So, at this particular juncture, we find ourselves in a situation where, for instance, we are currently present in our CCIE lab, correct? After you finished typing, you said you typed from start to finish, so you completed the configs. How should I compare? How to compare my final configs with correct solutions? Did I miss anything? Well, we wrote Python scripts to capture the entire configuration of all devices in your topology. After capturing device configs, a file like this will be generated. I randomly open one to show all. All of you can see this file. One of our classmates, rack 113, our own lab racks, right? What's on the left? It's standard config. The so-called standard config means no mistake, so we'll prep it and pull down his config. After the lab, he'll see it clearly by comparing. On the left is standard config. On the right is his config. Simply missing a command line, missing a feature, or missing the name of a certain policy, not fulfilling according to the requirements of the topic, then in fact in cases like this he must be able to see it, and it is very obvious. When practicing the lab, type all possible problems and places where mistakes may occur. When typing, clearly see situations where names are inconsistent and see that left side is standard, while right side has different configuration, which is distinct and noticeable. What I mean is, after finishing each lab, you must compare it with the standard configuration. Only in this way can your lab practice have value. Otherwise, you say that I have done the lab, right? I'm very familiar with it. You may have been wrong all along, the first time wrong, the second time wrong, the third time wrong until after the exam. In hindsight, you realize that I have all the phenomena outputs but failed the exam. At 591 Lab, to pass the CCIE certification on first attempt, besides typing proficiency, we must compare each practice session with the standard configuration. Be familiar with the issues and problems before the exam and anticipate them to arise. In this particular case, even if we happen to encounter it during the examination, we are not afraid, right? This is the second point of knocking the lab. With regard to the third point, in reality, whether it is CCIE or HCIE, at 591 Lab, we prepare our own well-organized cheat sheet for the lab exam takers. So this pre-exam cheat sheet is actually from our large pool of CCIE students. When they encounter a certain problem during the exam, they write it down and explain how they solved it. We will update our pre-exam cheat sheet or pre-exam battle report collection in a timely manner or without interruption. In that case, many of our worldwide students have taken the CCIE exam previously and provided feedback to us. And we organize this exam report document. In that case, all classmates before the exam can get this document. Comparing to our past students' success, it's vital to know the exam problems they faced and their solutions. And it is very likely that after reading this document, you will have solutions to all the problems you may encounter in the exam. Only after all of this is completed. If you say you will take the CCIE certification exam and pass it in one go, I think it will be a natural victory. Recently, all classmates who took CCIE certification passed on their first try. This September and August, about 20 students will take the CCIE certification exam. So, in order to successfully pass the CCIE certification in one attempt, it must be a highly systematic, comprehensive and detailed preparation, whether it's the standard configuration we provide or the exam battle report before the exam, etc. If you need to know about the new version and new curriculum of CCIE, you can contact our official website www.591lab.com.